So you want to improve, to become better. And for this reason, you are making changes to your behaviors every day. But it looks like there is no improvement. Are you doing something wrong? Not at all. Reality is that change is a slow process that requires time, and it is difficult to see improvement from one day to another one. Today, I'd like to give you a few tips on how to monitor and control your improvements. What I try to demonstrate you is an approach that I used in a professional setting when coaching project managers. But the example that I will give you are all taken from my own personal experience, so that you can better relate to your own experience. A few years ago, one of my friends that lives in Provence, the south of France, introduced me to one of their local traditions that is called Le Blé de la Sainte Barbe. On December 4th, that is the day of Saint Barbara, you prepare a plate with a bed of cotton. Then you take a handful of wheat seeds and you spread these seeds on the cotton. Every day you give some water to the seeds until at Christmas Eve you have grown some wheat, and you can put these to the Christmas table. The tradition says that the height of the wheat is a good indicator, a forecast, an omen for your financial success for the next year. So if the wheat grow tall, it will be a good financial year. Instead, if it is a miserable crop, not very tall and maybe sparse, well, the year won't be so good from the financial perspective. Let me show you some couple of pictures. The first one is two pictures taken on December 6 and December 7. You see the difference. You can't really notice. But then looks at this other one, December 7 and December 11. You start to see a great difference. But let's have a look now at two pictures taken the first day and the last one, Christmas Eve. You see the difference is huge. The change, the improvement is something that you can appreciate without thinking a lot. It's obvious. How can we translate this into our everyday struggle to become better? I'll give you some personal example. I spent part of the year in Italy and part in Sweden. In Sweden, almost everybody speaks English, so if you know English, you have no survival problem. But one thing is to survive, another one is to enter into the culture, into understand the culture. And so I started to learn Swedish. How could I measure, how could I see if I was improving once I had acquired the basics? Well, for reading, that was for me the easiest. I started after I was able to read some text. I started to read crime stories because I'm passionate about Swedish crime story. I read many of them in Italian. I started to read them in Swedish. And essentially, one beautiful thing with the crime story is that once you can get the plot, even if you miss some description or some details, okay, you get the main part. So I was able to get the plot, but I was missing a lot of details. Chapter after chapter, I noticed how many words I was missing, how many sentences I was skipping. At the beginning, probably I was skipping 50% of the text, and then it started to decrease. Maybe it was just one small description in a page, and so on. And this gave me an indicator of progress. For listening, in Sweden they have a program of the public television called Nyheter på lättsvenska, that means news in easy Swedish. At the beginning, I was watching this with the subtext, undertitles. I could almost understand everything. Then I switched off the captions. Okay, it became more and more difficult. Sometimes I needed to switch on the caption because maybe it was an interesting news, and otherwise I couldn't understand what they are talking about. But now I listen to that always without the undertext, the captions. I've started now to listen to podcast in everyday Swedish. That's more difficult. At the beginning, more or less, I was just understanding the topic. Now, what I can do is I get the main sense. I missing a lot of part, but I got the key points of the podcast and also the main conclusion. Last kind of abilities is about speaking. Essentially, at the beginning, when I started to speak to somebody in Swedish. At the first difficulty, I was switching to English. The other person smiled, continued in English. Now I do the same, but I try longer in Swedish before switching to English. Now, the time, increasing time that I can talk in Swedish before the switch give me an indication of progress, of improvement. Last example is video. 10 days ago, I decided to start again producing video for this YouTube channel. And the reason was that I wanted to improve my ability in producing videos. So this is the third video of the new series. The first one, after I produced it, I watched it, and I found something that I liked and something that I could improve. For example, one thing to improve was to look more directly into the lens. Another point was to talk in a more spontaneous way. When I watched the second video, I could see the improvement, but at the same time, I noticed that now there's something more that I should work on. For example, the image was very shaky because I had this idea that maybe to make a stable image, I should use a gimbal. I discovered that it's not the way people use a gimbal, and so not something that does for me. And so let's see when I will watch this video what kind of improvement I can notice. The method, the same that I used in coaching, consists in focusing. You can't improve in general. So you can't say, for example, well, I need to improve making videos. And so, okay, next video will be better. You need to focus more. So, for example, I needed to become better at looking straight into the lens. This is focused, very specific, easy to check. how can I improve my ability to speak in Swedish? Well, for example, I need to practice more, to speak more. Avoid speaking, switching to English. How can I do this? Well, I can try to talk more in Swedish before the switch. The switch, for now, is going to happen. One limit of this method that I described, it is that it's based only on my own personal feedback. It would be better, more effective to have also a view from outside, a teacher that helped me when I'm studying a language, or a viewer that give me some feedback about the video. However, starting with your own personal feedback is better than nothing. It's a starting point. So that's all for today. I hope that you can try, you're willing to try this approach of focusing on the specific in order to improve your abilities to reach your goal. And by the way, if you're still here watching the video, I would appreciate if you gave me some feedback in form of a comment. That would be the external view that help improve my video capabilities. Anyway, thanks for being with me today. See you next video. Ciao!